Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I just want to echo Professor Tambaya's words. Thank you to all of you for all the hard work that you put in, right from the start when we had our nomination until that fateful night when we counted the votes and found the reality wasn't quite what we had hoped it to be. But as I've said many times before, the SDP is always looking to press forward until the day when we hit our target of bringing democracy to our shores. And this election cycle is no exception, where even though our results were not quite as what we expected, we make sure that we press on. And we press on not with words, but with deed. And what we're going to do in the next 5 years, in the lead up to elections 2030, is this campaign. And it's got to be more than a campaign. It's a movement that we call Renew, Rebuild, Reignite. And they are not just pretty fancy words, because they're going to be backed up by major operations, major projects that I look forward to involving all of you. And I mean all of you in the most active manner. Let's go through it very quickly. This is what we're going to do. It's going to be a movement to build a more just, transparent, and democratic Singapore. And they're going to be, as I said, backed up by 3 major projects. The first is our petition, our coalition for electoral reform, which Akmal highlighted earlier on in his presentation. And in the second project is that we're going to initiate and start a cooperative under the Orange and Teal flagship. The third is our youth outreach. Together, collectively, these will keep us busy right up until the next elections with all the other ancillary exercises and projects that we're going to conduct. Let me just go into the first one, project number 1. I'll give you the URL towards the end of this project, where I look forward to all of you going into the petition called in change.org to make sure that we create this whole exercise movement to reform the election system in Singapore. You know that before the GE itself, we had said that Lawrence Wong was conducting a smash and grab elections. And you look at what it is today. This very unseemly haste, when he announced boundaries, and very soon after that, just barely a month, dissolve Parliament and give us all of 9 days to campaign, and then we end up results like this. And this is not the first time. It's been going on for 60 years. I've been through one election after another, and it's always been the same process. Make sure that you give people limited time to really digest the national issues that confront our nation, and then push everybody to go vote before we truly have enough time to digest all the issues. So what we're going to do is to launch this election reform, and we're not going to do it as SDP. We're going to reach out to every Singaporean who are concerned about this matter. And we're going to get it, especially our younger generations, to be part of this entire movement and sign the petition, beg your pardon. And we're going to call for a ban on gerrymandering, amongst the others. And as I said, I'll present to you the URL, and I look forward to all of you getting on and signing it. Kenneth? We're going to establish, as I said, a whole network and coalition of organizations, all like-minded organizations that want to see a meaningful change in our electoral system to come on board. And we're going to be conducting, whether they're town halls or forums, videos, podcasts, articles, we're going to get a whole coalition to come and present these problems with us and to talk a lot more about the election system as we go forward. The second project, as I said, is our co-op. And this is where I think it's going to be something novel for all of us. I come back to this point about the PAP-NTUC nexus. And it's grown to be a very ugly existence, where NTUC income really grew itself from a cooperative. I beg your pardon, the NTUC from a cooperative has morphed into a big business, so much so that they were thinking of selling NTUC income to Allianz. That's the crux of the problem with our top-down business model. We can change all that. We are not helpless. I've said it many times before. We are only constrained by our own imagination and, more importantly, by our courage to organize ourselves. This is something that we're going to be doing. We're going to form up a cooperative, and the object there is to make sure we build a people's economy, a truly people's economy. Some of the things that we're going to at least be able to address is to create an environment where there's fair wage, minimum wage employment, where this business is owned by the people. Truly owned by the people, get back down into basics. Where NTUC has lost its way. But bring us back into the point where we own our own businesses, own our own economy, do the profit sharing. And really exercise what we all know to be democratic management. We also want it to be an incubator support for young professional startups and freelancers. I've gone on. In the last, as long as I remember my involvement with SDP, to create an innovative economy where people take the lead, not your GLCs. All your GLCs do is to have technocrats, running businesses, and they don't work. If they did work, today our productivity won't be at as sorry levels as they are currently. This is a point where we can start this entire process of encouraging our young innovators, our young entrepreneurs in coming up. We'll also establish a federation where we bring in like-minded businesses, cooperatives, NGOs to provide alternative models running the economy. I've had so many F&B operators coming up to me and telling me it's just impossible to survive in Singapore. To the point that many of them have given up. Last year, we had more than 3,000 F&B joints closing down. And I ask you to note this point, that the number was higher than in 2020 when we had the COVID pandemic. And all this time, everybody is struggling. You watch it, you've seen it on your TikTok, you've watched it on social media and reports that businesses cannot survive. The small businesses cannot survive. Well, here's one co-op that we can bring together some of these SMEs, our local entrepreneurs who are struggling, and let's see where we can move forward from here. And this is where we want to talk about people's economy. And it is a counterweight, as I said, to the PAP-NTUC nexus. one of the things that you heard repeatedly is these $1 deals, right? That may have affected the outcome of the elections tremendously. And a co-op that we're working towards will help us gain that financial muscle to compete with the PAP going forward into the next elections. And when we band together, when we come together as a people, I think there's very much that we can do. The third project. If there is a silver lining in this election, it is the consciousness that have arisen amongst our younger generation, first-time voters, if you will. Countless of them, I'm sure you've heard it too, have come up to me and said, thank you, we didn't know. Words like, for example, gerrymandering. And then they've realized what it is. And in a short period of time, when they started to get into the issues and wanting to know more about what we stand for, what opposition stands for, what PAP stands for, it's cut off, and everybody then has to go and vote. This is where we begin to tap into the strength, the energy of our younger voters. And our young Democrats, they are going to spearhead this entire movement. In this room tonight, I see so many young faces. And I'm so encouraged. Yesterday, we just had a meeting of young Democrats and our young change makers. They came in numbers. We're going to organize them. They are going to spearhead some of these exercises going forward. And the one thing that I want to propose to them is in the months ahead, and hopefully I can get it done in October, I want to be able to publish another book. Right now, my working title is called Unbroken, The Politics of Resilience. It's going to be a book whereby we talk about, to the younger generation, to the parents of the younger generations, how resilience matters so much, not just in our political system, but in our economy, in our mental health of the younger generation. And I want to ask the young Democrats to use this as a means to start going forth into our universities, our schools, create chapters all over where we can begin to start all this conversation. And I ask you again to think about why. Why is it that it doesn't matter where you go, whether it's university, whether it's to the polytechnics, whether it's to our open spaces and even National Library, every time you put in and you want to go into these places, whether it's to launch a book, or for us to go in and engage the students in dialogues, it's always a no. And you think about it, 4 or 5 years, you keep doing it in between elections. Complete cultural political desert. No discussion. And then, when the parliament is dissolved, everybody is supposed to know what this politics is all about, what unicameral parliament is, what a presidential system versus parliamentary system is, what does your Speaker of Parliament do, what is a cabinet. They have no idea. And then when you get into parliament, when you come elections, you're supposed to vote for those people you want them to represent you in parliament. Doesn't make any sense at all. This is where it starts. We're going to go in to some of these institutions, knock on their doors, say we're here. We want to engage our younger voters, our younger generation, get them knowledgeable about what politics in Singapore is about, but current affairs. This is what's going to be important. And we have had meetings already, and I'm so proud that our young Democrats have just stepped up and say, you are going to be spearheading this. And we're going to bring in those of you who might be here if you're running your podcasts, your websites, your associations, please. This is not a partisan SDP issue. This must be a national effort, national movement to fix our system. Because if we don't fix the system will fix us. This is where I want to present to you the petition. If you've got your phones ready, please scan the petition. You can sign it at change.org/SG_GE_reform. And if you'd like to join the Orange and Teal Social Enterprise and Cooperative, please visit orangeandteal.sg. The membership is $100. But you own that business. It's going to be ours. Doesn't belong to any one individual or any one group of individuals. Let's take it and let's run with it. And when we get enough members, we'll call for meetings, and we want your input in terms of where we take this business and how it's going to operate and who it's going to benefit from it. So please, I look to all of you to actively participate. Let's not go back into our comfort zones where we keep quiet and lay fallow for the next 4 to 5 years and then awaken again just before the elections, only to find results like what we're seeing today. Let's make a difference. Let's go out and let's get the change, make the change that we all want to see.